Good morning, everyone. Today, we'll be starting with a new chapter from the diary of Anne Frank. Now, this chapter is about a young girl and how she describes her thoughts, how she writes down her thoughts, her feelings in a diary, which was gifted to her by her father. Anne Frank, she belonged to a Jewish community. Now, you people are very well aware of the Nazism Act, right? You have studied in history in class ninth. So, what is Nazism and what Hitler had done to the Jewish community? You people are well aware of it, right? So, when Hitler rose to power in Germany, the Jewish community people, they flew from Germany so that they could save themselves from any kind of torture, from the killing, just to keep themselves safe and to protect their family. Anne Frank, she also belonged to a Jewish community. So she, along with other members of the family, right, they flew from Germany and they took a, and they have taken a shelter in Holland. Right, they took shelter in Holland, but soon even Holland was captured by Germany. It was captured by Germany, and these people, they were arrested by the Nazi people. Out of the family of 8 members, in the end, finally only Anne Frank's father survived, and all the 7 members of the family died. Right, only his father was able to survive this Nazi period. And once the Hitler committed suicide, and there was a stop. This Nazi practice was stopped until and unless your other country people, they have taken a control over the Germany. So when Nazism has come to an end, only father survived, and when he found diary of Anne Frank, he decided to publish it in the form of a journal named The Diary of a Young Girl. The Diary of a Young Girl is a novel, right? A novel which was written by Anne Frank. And this chapter from the Diary of Anne Frank, it's just an extract from that autobiography. So what has Anne Frank described in it? She has described her thoughts, she has described her feelings, what she felt about the hardships they have faced, and what day-to-day sufferings they were facing, her happy moments, her sad moments. So she has all described it in her diary. She has penned it in her diary. So we'll be seeing it now. This lesson is an excerpt, or you can say extract, from the diary of a young girl, or the diary of Anne Frank. It is an autobiography that was first published in 1947. In this, Annie expresses her thoughts in a diary which was gifted to her on her 13th birthday. She names the diary Kitty, which she considers as her only true friend. She mentions about her childhood, her family, and a lot of other things that she told no one else. Now, the characters: Anne Frank, who's a 13-year-old Jewish girl who writes a diary while she's hiding in Amsterdam from the Nazis during World War II. Margaret Frank, Annie's sister. She is 3 years old. She is 3 years older than Annie. Otto Frank, Annie's father. He is a Jewish businessman who left Germany after Hitler's rise to power, hoping to find refuge in Holland. Mrs. Frank, Annie's mother. She is the source of many conflicts with Annie during 2 years that the family spends in hiding. Mrs. Vandan, a Jewish businessman and an associate of Mr. Frank. Mr. Keesing, her teacher who punishes Anne as she gets annoyed by her talkative nature. Now, Anne Frank's first entry in the diary. Anne Frank, a 13-year-old girl, was gifted a diary by her father. So she decided to write in her diary, which she considered to be her best friend in loneliness, and named it Kitty. She began writing in June 1942. In her first entry, she expressed her desire to confide everything to the diary as she hadn't been able to do so to anyone else. Means she decided to write down all her wishes, all her desires, which were unspoken, which were unfelt by others, about her thoughts which she has never spoken to anyone else, but she has never discussed with anyone else, about how she felt, right? What were her wishes and what were her desires. She wanted to pen it down all in her diary. She considered that diary to be her best friend. She felt that paper had more patience than people. Secondly, she thought that nobody would be interested in her diary as she was a small girl. Her childhood and family. Annie called her father as the most adorable person. He was 36 when he married her mother, who was just 25. She has an older sister, Margaret. She had about 30 people around her, but she had no true friend. They lived in Frankfurt for some time, but as they were Jewish, they had to migrate to Holland for refuge. Her mother stayed with her grandmother, but went to Holland to her father. Anne's schooling. She was sent to a Montessori nursery school. She stayed there until she was 6. At her farewell, she and her head mistress, Mrs. Cuperus, had tears in their eyes. Her grandmother's death. In the summer of 1941, her grandmother fell ill. She had to be operated upon, but she died in January 1942. It gave Anne a shock as she did not write her diary in that period. But after that, she wrote again as she thought of her grandmother's love and affection. Then she discusses about her view about teachers, about the punishment she received by Mr. Keesing, how she used to complete her homework, right? The punishments she used to get, and about other work. So, about her teachers, Annie was not good at maths, so she and her friends were always worried about it. But she was sure that she would go to next class. She always considered teachers to be the most unpredictable creatures on earth. So she told her friends not to lose hope. Annie was a good student and had a relationship with all teachers except Mr. Keesing, who taught her maths. He was Because she was not good at maths, he was always annoyed with her because of her talkative nature. He used to give her extra homework as punishment. He asked her to write an essay on a chatterbox. He also put a slip of it on her bag to remind her about it. So Mr. Keesing used to call her Chatterbox, and Mr. Keesing was her maths teacher. Annie was unable to understand what she could write in the essay. She started writing to consider in the necessity. She wrote the 3 pages for her satisfaction. She defined it as a feature of a student and also mentioned that she inherited this trait from her mother, who also used to talk much. Mr. Keesing read Annie's essay in front of class and laughed at it. He gave her another essay as a punishment on the topic an incorrigible chatterbox, and quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. Annie mocks Mr. Keesing amusingly with her homework. Annie wanted to write something interesting. and different this time. So, with the help of her friend San, who was good at poetry, she wrote an essay in verse. It was about three ducklings going deaf because their father duck beat them as they quacked way too much. Mr. Keesing took the joke in the right way and didn't bother Annie for talking after that incident. She was not even given any extra homework after that. Now, your homework is to draw the background theme of the chapter and create dialogue box for the same. So this was all about the diary of Anne Frank, right? Again, we'll have just a brief description. Who was Anne Frank? She would belong to a Jewish community. She lived in Frankfurt unless Nazism began in Germany. And due to this Nazi act, due to the rise in the power of Hitler, right, the Jewish community had to escape from Germany. Since since Anne belonged to the Jewish community, she had to escape from Germany and find refuge in Holland. And they stayed there in Holland till the time they were arrested and they were tortured. And finally, in the end, out of the family of 8 members, only father survived. Neither Anne survived, nor did her sibling, nor did her mother. It was the father who survived, and when he found diary of his 13-year-old daughter, he decided to publish that diary in the form of a novel. The novel named The Diary of a Young Girl. And what did this young girl described in the diary? Her entire life period, the short span of life which she had written down in her diary about her teachers, about Mr. Keesing, who was her maths teacher, and how he used to call her chatterbox, and how he used to give her extra homework, and what in response did Anne gave, what in response did Anne did so that she could get rid of that title, that was the incorrigible chatterbox, right? Also, she discussed about her other teachers. She discussed about her grandmother's death and what kind of a schooling she had. She discussed about her father, right? So whatever happenings, whatever the incidents which had taken place in her life and which had left a deep impact on her, she has all penned it down in her diary, which she used to call Kitty. She has named her diary Kitty, and all her wishes, all her desires, she had penned it down in a beautiful manner in her diary. She has also discussed about what kind of torture other people have went, right? What problems were they facing while they were in a refuge in Holland, and what actually happened in the end, right? So that was all about her diary. That was all about the diary of Anne Frank. Homework, I have already told you. You will draw the background theme of the chapter and create dialogue box for the chapter. Any query, you can ask me, or you can raise your questions in your WhatsApp group. Thank you.